With E3 having just wrapped up a couple days ago, it's safe to say that Nintendo had one of, if not the best presentation of the conference. So let's take a look at what was announced from a speedrunner's perspective. First up is Metroid Dread. With Super Metroid being one of the most popular speedruns, it's safe to say that this game will definitely get some attention. However, it does seem to be in the same vein as Samus Returns, which really isn't as popular looking at speedrun.com. However, this unpopularity might be because it was on the 3DS, and Metroid Dread being on a home console might make it more popular for speedruns. The game mechanics, again, look a lot like Samus Returns, though this is probably because they use the same engine, or at least something really similar, and or they were worked on by the same team. Overall, even if it's not a speedrun game, it'll still be super popular with the casual crowd, and all the Metroid fans that have been waiting for Metroid 5 forever. Next, let's look at Mario Golf. Surprisingly, from Nintendo's presentation, I think this game has the most speedrun potential. It basically has its own speedrun mode. It has the whole speed golf aspect to it, which means that speedrunning it might have some interesting routing or whatever else. Mario Golf as a whole hasn't been super popular for speedruns, but this game might change that. Not to be extremely popular, but at least more popular than the other ones. Another popular speed game that I can see is Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. This is essentially a remake of Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, which is also a remake and some extra to Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2. I've done some speedrunning of Super Monkey Ball 2 myself, and it's safe to say that this game looks pretty faithfully recreated. The only issue that might come up is that this game probably uses the same engine as Banana Blades HD. While this doesn't really seem like a problem, most of the original game strategies come from pause buffering and using notches on your controller to go to a certain angle for a certain amount of time. There are two problems with this. One, Banana Blitz HD's engine doesn't really allow for the pause buffering, in that if you do the same inputs and the same time, you might get a different action. The other is that the controllers used, specifically the Joy-Con and the Pro Controller, don't have notches in their controller, though this isn't as much of a problem because the Switch recognizes GameCube controllers as an input and you can just use the notches on them. Even if runners decide to play Super Monkey Ball Deluxe over Banana Mania, this game still looks really good and I'm definitely getting it when it comes out. Most of the other games are smaller or just indie titles, so there's really not much saying about their speedrun capabilities. There might be some that are really cool, but then there's others like Just Dance, which really doesn't have anything to it. Finally, there's Breath of the Wild 2. So, Breath of the Wild 1 is also a really popular game, and I don't see Breath of the Wild 2 being any less popular. From looking at the footage of the trailer, there seems to be some sort of time manipulation aspect to it, which could prove really interesting, because most of Breath of the Wild 1's speedrun mechanics have to do with exploiting physics, and I could see new physics mechanics in Breath of the Wild 2 being exploited just more so. It'll be really interesting to see what runners can come up with. It did take a while for Breath of the Wild 1 speedrun to really come to fruition for what it is today, but you can definitely count on a bunch of physics exploits and some weird speedrun stuff for Breath of the Wild 2 very soon after it releases, even if it might take a while for the full speedrun to be as optimized as it could be. Though a lot of this is speculation, of course, because there wasn't too much in-game footage shown. You can really only pull from what the original game had in terms of its physics, and assume that at least some of them will make a return. Though it would be expected that there's more physics mechanics to play with, so it's going to be really interesting. A lot of the other games that were mentioned, like WarioWare or Advance Wars remakes, don't really look like speedrun games to me. They're definitely going to be good games, especially WarioWare, because there really hasn't been a new title for that in a while, excluding the Wii U and DIY. So that'll be interesting to play. Speedrunning-wise, not really, because most of the micro games are on a timer, or at least there's not too much to optimize. But it'll still definitely be a really cool game. So overall, Nintendo's presentation had some really interesting games announced, even the ones that I didn't mention. Like I mentioned earlier, it's definitely hard to tell which of these are going to be popular in the speedrunning space. I don't think any of these are going to be as popular as, say, Super Mario Odyssey, but definitely will get some attention in their own communities. Overall, Nintendo had a really good presentation. They announced some stuff that people did not expect, and a lot of the new game mechanics shown off are just really interesting. If there's anything you're specifically interested in, let me know in the comments. Or if there's anything that I missed about the games that I talked about that looked interesting, like something you saw in a trailer or something, let me know as well. Also, let me know if you like this type of video. It's kind of just my opinion about this stuff, but I'm definitely happy to talk about it more if it's interesting. So, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and all that, and keep in touch on Twitter and YouTube, and I'll see you soon.